Yet just yesterday, people were calling me fat and sick and boring and irrelevant. People are the most messed up creatures on the entire planet.
So I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about Niccolo Avocado losing a crap ton of weight and getting on the internet and gloating about the fact that he conducted a social experiment just to see how bad the media around him can be. And essentially, he claims he did a social experiment just to show how evil and conniving the social media can be and how they pick people apart for just little things. So if y'all know what Niccolo Avocado is, God bless your soul. He's been on YouTube for damn near a decade. He's been known for his violin videos, and then eventually he was known for his vegan videos and his food videos where he ate all types of fruits and veggies and traveling and vlogging and so much more. He eventually transitioned to doing mukbangs, but he eventually transitioned from being a vegan to eventually transitioning into doing more junk food. And of course, he gained a lot of virality and popularity because, I mean, he was eating some absurd amount of shit. And this is coming from me. You know, I've had my time and days where I have fucked up some, mayonnaise and spaghetti and, put some maple syrup in my cereal. I've done it all. I love my weird food combinations. However, eventually, as time went on, I kind of had to tone it down a little bit because I saw people like Niccolo Avocado and I saw what happened to him.
Today, oh my God, I'm actually shaped like my water weight. Oh my gosh, literally, I'm shaped like a droplet. I don't want these noodles. I don't want stupid noodles.
And let me just say that junk food definitely does fry your brain because he definitely stirred a lot of virality on the internet because he has completely made a fool of himself multiple times throughout the years. Now, I had no problem with Avocado at all. I actually found his content to be entertaining. However, what kind of turned me off over time was because I didn't like the constant wastefulness of food. And that's what some people look at mukbangers. Some people look at mukbangers as promoting gluttony and wastefulness and just smacking and chewing and so much more. But I did enjoy the content, it's just I couldn't get down with the whole wastefulness and getting a broom and throwing food everywhere.
Ooh. No, it's what the cheese we're redoing. We are redoing it.
And that's when I checked out because let him have done that shit in my house. My granny would have fucked him up if he did some shit like that. So we wasting food and throwing shit everywhere. I just don't get down with that because coming from me, someone that grew up poor, where we didn't have any fucking money growing up, wasting food is like a big no-no and a big trigger for me. So I don't like when people waste food, especially food that's edible. You know what I mean? If the food is good, there's no need to throw it all over the place, especially for content. In a world of social media, people are constantly wasting food. It just triggered me a little bit when I see people do shit like that. So I just kind of navigated away from his content. But he definitely does have a mental health issue. It's pretty evident, and he's even said this numerous times in interviews. So it seemed like to me a cry for attention and validation. So I obviously never really paid it any mind, and it was very obvious that he's been trolling all this time when he does these things.
Like being adopted and then growing up, were you someone who needed attention, who wanted attention?
Yeah, I was in and out of therapy since I was like 5.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, why were you in therapy in the first place?
Behavioral issues, so I would want attention. So maybe yes, maybe you're right.
Were you loud? Were you obnoxious? Were you being mean? What was your attention seeking?
All of it. Well, I don't know about meanness, but definitely just wanted the spotlight, which is so different of how I am now. Especially off camera, I'm very kind of just reserved and stuff, but...
I'm surprised they would want to put you in therapy. It seems like a normal thing. A 5-year-old is as loud sometimes as me.
Yeah, they put me on medication too.
At 5?
Or 7. 7 was my first time.
7?
Solo. Yeah.
No.
And of course, Niccolo Avocado got tons of attention. He got major endorsement deals. He was able to buy multi-million-dollar penthouses, and he was even able to collaborate with Raven Simone. This dude was definitely on top of his game. However, he recently disappeared off of social media, and a lot of people are very confused as to what happened to him. So Niccolo Avocado went on YouTube recently, a couple days ago, and his video gained over 10 million views in under 24 hours. And that's fucking insane because YouTube videos don't get views like that anymore. You know, not even Cardi B or big name musicians are getting views like that in just under 24 hours anymore. And he claims that he conducted a social experiment to mentally fuck with people, to show people how everybody can be very conniving and mean and nasty on the internet. Because the whole time when people thought that he was fat 6 months ago, he was really just pre-recording a lot of videos 2 years prior, and that he was already starting his weight loss journey back in 2022. Now, this is on another level of being a sick fuck. Like, you gotta be a sick fuck to hold a social experiment on for 2 years and to poison your body with all that fast food and saturated fat just to prove a point about how slimy and judgmental people are. So he did an interview with NBC News, and he literally said, I edited the video so that they would appear recent, allowing me to focus on healing my body behind the scenes. Nikocado Avocado wrote in an email to NBC News, I shaved my head so that people wouldn't recognize me in public. A handful of fellow...
Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, my loves. It's Destin Choice, and you're watching Choice TV. For today's video, I decided to get on here and talk about Nikocado Avocado and all the controversy he's spreading right now.
I didn't mean to do that.
250 pounds off of my body. Yet just yesterday, people were calling me fat and sick and boring and irrelevant. People are the most messed up creatures on the entire planet.
So I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about Nikocado Avocado losing a crap ton of weight and getting on the internet and gloating about the fact that he conducted a social experiment just to see how bad the media around him can be. And essentially, he claims to do a social experiment just to show how evil and conniving the social media can be and how they pick people apart for just little things. So if y'all know what Nikocado Avocado is, God bless your soul. He's been on YouTube for damn near a decade. He's been known for his violin videos, and then eventually he was known for his vegan videos and his food videos where he ate all types of fruits and veggies and traveling and vlogging and so much more. He eventually transitioned to doing mukbangs, but he eventually transitioned from being a vegan to eventually transitioning into doing more junk food. And of course, he gained a lot of virality and popularity because, I mean, he was eating some absurd amount of shit. And this is coming from me. You know, I've had my time and days where I have fucked up some, you know, mayonnaise and spaghetti and, you know, put some maple syrup in my cereal. I've done it all. You know, I love my weird food combinations. However, eventually, as time went on, I kind of had to tone it down a little bit because I saw people like Nikocado Avocado and I saw what happened to him.
Today, oh my god, I'm actually shaped like my water weight. Oh my gosh, literally, I am shaped like a droplet. I don't want these noodles. I don't want stupid noodles. Stupid noodles.
And let me just say that junk food definitely does fry your brain because he definitely stirred a lot of virality on the internet because he has completely made a fool of himself multiple times throughout the years. Now, I had no problem with avocado at all. I actually found his content to be entertaining. However, what kind of turned me off over time was because I didn't like the constant wastefulness of food. And that's what some people look at mukbangers. Some people look at mukbangers as promoting gluttony and wastefulness and just smacking and chewing and so much more. But I did enjoy the content, it's just I couldn't get down with the whole wastefulness and getting a broom and throwing food everywhere.
No, this one choose one. We are redoing it.
And that's when I checked out because letting have done that shit in my house, my granny would have fucked him up if he did some shit like that. So be wasting food and throwing shit everywhere. I just don't get down with that because coming from me, someone that grew up poor, where we didn't have any fucking money growing up, wasting food is like a big no-no and a big trigger for me. So I don't like when people waste food, especially food that's edible. You know what I mean? If the food is good, there's no need to throw it all over the place, especially for content. You know, in a world of social media, people are constantly wasting food, it does trigger me a little bit when I see people do shit like that. So I just kind of navigate away from his content. But he definitely does have a mental health issue. It's pretty evident, and he's even said this numerous times in interviews. So it seemed like to me a cry for attention and validation. So I obviously never really paid it any mind, and it was very obvious that he's been trolling all this time when he does these things.
Being adopted and then growing up, were you someone who needed attention, who wanted attention?
Yeah, I was in and out of therapy since I was like 5.
Oh, well, why were you in therapy in the first place?
Behavioral issues, so I would like want attention. So maybe yes, maybe you're right.
Were you loud? Were you obnoxious? Were you being mean? What was your attention seeking?
Well, I don't know about meanness, but definitely just like, yeah, just like wanted the spotlight, which is so different of how I am now. Especially off camera, I'm very kind of just like reserved and stuff, but
I'm surprised they would want to put you in therapy. That seems like a normal thing. A 5-year-old is as loud sometimes as we.
yeah, they put me on medication too.
At 5?
7 was my first time.
7?
So loved, yeah.
No.
And of course, Nicola Avocado got tons of attention. He got major endorsement deals. He was able to buy multi-million-dollar penthouses, and he was even able to collaborate with Raven Simone. This dude was definitely on top of his game. However, he recently disappeared off of social media, and a lot of people were very confused as to what happened to him. So Nicola Avocado went on YouTube recently, a couple days ago, and his video gained over 10 million views in under 24 hours. And that's fucking insane because YouTube videos don't get views like that anymore. You know, not even Cardi B or big name musicians are getting views like that in just under 24 hours anymore. And he claims that he conducted a social experiment to mentally fuck with people, to show people how everybody can be very conniving and mean and nasty on the internet. Because the whole time when people thought that he was fat 6 months ago, he was
I thought he was still obese.
a lot of videos 2 years prior, and that he was already starting his weight loss journey back in 2022. Now, this is on another level of being a sick fuck. Like, you gotta be a sick fuck to hold a social experiment on for 2 years and to poison your body with all that fast food and saturated fat just to prove a point about how slimy and judgmental people are. So he did an interview with NBC News, and he literally said, I edited the video so that they would appear recent, allowing me to focus on healing my body behind the scenes. Nicola Avocado wrote in an email to NBC News, I shaved my head so that people wouldn't recognize me in public. A handful of fellow YouTubers also helped me to keep my secret, claiming that this was going on for 2 years. Now, a piece of me read that and thought to myself, what? To put saturated fats and all that nonsense in your body and to make yourself morbidly obese just to prove a point about how slimy and conniving people can be just for you to turn around and lose the weight afterwards? It's insane, but in low-key is kind of genius because, of course, he got the viewership he was expecting, plus more. On top of that, he also addressed why he had a panda on his head because he just popped in on camera with a panda and literally said, the reason for the panda was, in the world of social media, I wanted to show that everything is not as black and white as it appears. Then proceeded to say, while everybody pointed and laughed at me for over-consuming food, I was in total control the entire time. Nicola Avocado wrote to NBC News. In reality, people are completely absorbed with internet personalities and obsessively watch their content. That is where a deeper level of overconsumption lies, and it's the parallel I wanted to make.
What color should I make next?
Is kind of side-eyeing this because he really sat up there and pre-recorded two years worth of content. I don't see how that's possible, and if it is possible, a piece of me doesn't want to believe you started your weight loss journey.
I'll show you what I have, and you can tell me what color should I make next. I know this is like a lot of colors in one scarf already. It is. That's gonna disappear. I'm gonna knit that in, so nobody will be able to see that.
They can manipulate things however they want based off of what they allow you to see. But for me, I was still kind of side-eyeing this.
Today I woke up from a very long dream. And I also woke up having lost 250 pounds off of my body.
Now, he got on the camera being creepy as fuck, and you would think that it was a horror film with the way he got on camera.
Alright,
He
well,
claims he started his
I'm
weight loss
gonna
journey in
add a
2022,
another
and that
soft
he was
color.
just pre-recording videos for the past 2 years according to his
How about-
NBC News interview. He has made it clear in the past that a lot of his life is a social experiment, so I'm surprised that a lot of people are surprised. However, I do think this is just probably one of his many tricks of just trying to, stir controversy in the
But he
YouTube
thinks
streets.
too much.
And the piece of me thinks that this is just all some type of calculated plan
Mhm.
to make
Think it's too
everybody
much?
think that he was always ahead of them the whole time.
I
Meanwhile,
know, it does
he
match
wasn't.
with the beige.
Avocado.
And
let me tell you why I'm upset. It's actually your fault. Last month, I made
maybe a
YouTube
little
video.
bit with the peach. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. We'll see how it works.
So a piece of me feels like he's not telling the truth, and here's why.
This may be the end, or maybe the beginning. Okay, this goes around. You always keep that separate so you don't get it entangled. Because it gets annoying if you get it entangled. I'm sorry about the commercial, but he gets paid for that. So let's support a brother. Just for a second with the commercial thing. Eventually it'll be gone. I hope they don't play the second commercial, which is usually like a whole minute. Alright, so I'm going to put this on over there to the side. Right, and we got it here. Alright, then I'm going to grab it here. You can leave the needle inside the hole if you want. Then you're just going to turn it around. Just going to turn it around. And you're not going to tie like this, like whoop, whoop, whoop. No. You're going to tie the knot as close as you can to the very next loop. So that way when you continue, it'll be seamless. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna triple knot it. I always triple knot it, so that way it never undoes itself. Seems like I forgot how to make a knot. Alright, are you gonna go back? Mr. Troy, I haven't watched him in a long time. His tongue is very dirty, but he's honest.
Avocado was one of her topics. She got on camera and she basically explained how Nickel Avocado is gluttonous and gross, and then he eventually reacted to her.
Social media. In previous episodes, we have discussed what women are doing for attention now. They're setting up their cameras and crying, pretending to be sick in some videos, or just opening up about a bad relationship. And
Is she calling me a woman? So shame on you. You don't know nothing about me. And you haven't even watched any of my videos. I never finish the food in my videos. Sometimes yes, but most times no. And I give it out to the needy and the poor when I'm done. What do you do when you're done your food? You throw it into the trash, most likely. I actually have been feeding the homeless for 7 years with my scraps. Have some compassion.
An ass.
titled, I Hate Myself, as one example.
And then to make matters even worse, he also did another video throwing jabs at her again, basically telling her to mind her business and much more.
Right, so far so good. I like it. This is not black, guys and girls, ladies and gents. This is purple here, dark purple. It's a very beautiful purple. But this blue, I just thought is so amazing.
This is a CPAP, not a BiPAP. Number one. Number two.
As you see, I like to add a lot of colors to each scarf, you know. Sometimes I make windows.
Are you sure these videos were recorded 2 years in advance? You recorded 2 years worth of content, edited them to make them look recent? How is Candace Owens reacting to him and then him reacting to her literally a year ago, which was about like what, a year and 6 months ago? I don't see how that was 2 years ago. That just doesn't make any sense. So now I'm starting to realize that his timeline just isn't adding up. It clearly is just mine.
Thank you for the like.
Has been known to be very kind of cunning and manipulative and very much an evil genius. And I do feel as though that he's capitalizing off of shock value and outrage. And of course, people are buying it and eating into it. And of course, he's capitalizing off the fact that people on the internet are very, very stupid and don't fact check and don't look in and read into things before they automatically make assumptions.
Yeah, you shouldn't make any assumptions.
Within 2 years.
I mean, I'm not sleeping with Nick Avocado, so I wouldn't be able to know, you know.
In my honest perspective, when it comes to Nick Avocado's weight loss,
I'm assuming with all that money, he can take care of his health.
People are obviously very consumed with the fact that he lost all that weight because he was fat as hell.
Yeah, I remember he was going to go ahead and get his mail in the golf cart. That's when I started to worry.
Hi, my loves. Hi, my loves. Hi, my loves. Hi, my loves. Hi, my loves.
Mr. Troy.
Hi, my loves. 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 Hi, guy.
Hi, guys.
That's the choice. And your boss enjoys too. Hi, my loves.
Hi, my loves. Hi, my loves. I just did mukbangs for fun and for enjoyment. And what people don't realize about a lot of people who do mukbang videos, people assume that people who do mukbang videos are fat as fuck because of the mukbang videos, when that's not the case at all. You know, just to give myself an example, I wasn't fat as hell because of mukbangs.
Looks
I
like
was
it's
fat
about
as
to
hell
change
because my
colors.
ass was binge eating. I was spending $600 a month
I like it.
on
It looks
eating
like
out
it's
because I was constantly working from
like
home
a
at my computer,
brown
checking
or light
emails,
beige
getting things done,
and
researching, you know, doing things on my
like
own
brown.
time,
Can
you
you
know, not
see
leaving
it?
the house as much. So I didn't really care about my self-image. People who care about their self-image are people who oftentimes go out in the world or are in an industry where they're oftentimes looked at. But I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't care about my looks. I didn't care about my self-image or my appearance at all. I just cared about hustling and grinding and trying to survive, and I was always on my computer doing it. So while I was at my computer, I was constantly like, okay, let me order some PF chains, let me order some wings, let me order some this, okay. Damn, okay, I don't want these wings no more. Let me just order some ice cream now, or I'm craving something sweet, I need something sweet. So I would order like some fried ice cream, or then I would order a Cuban sandwich. And then what I would used to do was this was some fat ass shit. I never told anybody this. I would
If I
order
get another light, I'll
plethora
change
of more
colors.
food, and I would literally meal prep with all the
It
fast
doesn't
food I
change
would order.
colors
So I would have
already.
like 6 Cuban sandwiches. I would have like 5 McDonald's McChickens, and then I would have like 2 large
Wow,
fries
that's a
from 2
lot.
different restaurants, and I would just like meal prep and put it in my fridge, and I would eat the
That's
food
like a
gradually
major
every single
league
day.
big out.
So instead of cooking and eating oatmeal or eating, you know, something healthy like
I
eggs
could
or
probably
being
eat that
healthy, like
too.
obviously
I'm
eating
a
protein,
small
I was
person, but
constantly eating all
I
these sugary
can
and
eat.
fat-induced foods, and I was eating that, and it was all in my fridge. So it wasn't the mukbangs, it was the binge eating. That's what most people are victims of. They're victims of their own binge eating. A lot of y'all
Binge
binge
eating.
eat when you're bored. A lot of y'all have anxiety. Some of y'all aren't even hungry. Some of
Yeah,
y'all will be in traffic
or
and
lack
see
of
a
eating.
fancy
Some people
restaurant,
when
and y'all
they
will just pull up in the parking lot
some
or
people
go to the
get depressed
drive-thru
or
and just
sad,
quickly get
they
some
don't
fast
eat.
food,
They don't
quickly
get
get
the
some wings
appetite.
from a restaurant. And a lot of times you're not even hungry. You're just nervous because you gotta go to work later, or you're just eating because you're bored because you want to fill up your time because now you're on break. A lot of us literally eat when we're bored. So eventually I kind of lost all the weight from just eating sea moss, drinking a shit ton of lemon water, and just realizing that I was eating when I was bored. So that's how I got fat as fuck. And then of course when I would see people like AVOCADO, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be like this big fat motherfucker. Let me just chill down and tone it down for a little bit. And I lost the weight for
You see what I
myself.
mean?
That's
Like
what
he
weight
has a
loss should
very,
be. You should lose
like
weight for
that's how he
yourself.
expresses himself.
Now
So
when it comes up to avocado, gaining vitality,
as
getting all
long
this
as he doesn't
attention,
like
it
scream at
really
me or
is
curse me
sad
out,
and
I'm
pathetic. It
good.
goes to show you how obsessed the internet is with people's self-image. Because let me just say that even though a lot of us on the internet will pick people apart or point out things like about other people, it's normal. We're humans. But it really goes to show you how people are so obsessed with fat people. Let me just say
Yeah,
that even though I
everybody
lost
thinks they're
weight
fat. People just
4
eat all
years
the time.
ago, people still to this day will comment and say, wow, you lost
It's
a lot
changed
of weight.
colors.
Well, yeah, I have eyes, bitch. But people will be like, oh my God, you used to be fat. Like, those are just little things people do. Like, people are obsessed with
Yeah,
fat people. And I guess it's fascinating because people always wonder,
it's changing
how do fat people get themselves to
colors.
this point? How do fat
How
people even
awesome
allow
is
themselves to get
that?
there? I mean, there's a whole show on fucking TLC in America where they exploit fat people and their issues and their abuse and the shit
Everyone.
they've gone through.
Thank you
And they
for
made a
stopping
whole
by.
television series that has millions of viewers every
Please give
single
me a
week.
like.
So the world is so obsessed with fat people. Even Lizzo said that no matter what she does or what she says, people still look at her as the fat girl or the fat girl, body positivity. She can literally wear a fucking leotard or be on the beach, and then the people will literally just be like, see, this is what real bodies look like. Real bodies deserve this. People are so obsessed with fat people to the point where fat people started movements on TikTok trying to campaign for bigger and more spacious airplane seats and so much more.
I'm on a mission to revolutionize the travel industry and make it more accessible, accepting, and accommodating place for all. I'm encouraging all plus-size travelers to click the link in my bio and submit a comment now so that we can see a real change made when it comes to airplanes. So if you want to hear my hot take on plus-size travel and why I think every plus-size traveler should get a free second and even third seat on an airplane, then you better keep watching and sign my petition to make some real change.
Or try to, ask for like bigger hotels or bigger hotel
Oh,
bathrooms
I
that
can't wait to
accommodate
see
their
the rest
unhealthy
of
lifestyle
it.
and much more.
See how it's
I
changing
don't have a problem with
colors?
fat people at
It's
all.
so pretty.
If you want to be a fat pig and a
I
fat
love
bitch,
it.
just
I
be
love
you.
it.
Be
I
yourself.
love
Do
it.
what you gotta do. If you want to be a fat, computer-shaped ass bitch, then be fat. That's your life and that's your business.
You
The
can't
issue
tell
when
me
it comes
this
down to
is
being
nice.
fat is a lot of people are so obsessed with fat people and are picking people like avocado and Lizzo
Can
apart.
you see it?
But then some of y'all mamas big as hell. So some of y'all mamas would be big as hell, and some of y'all nannies be fat as fuck. But y'all be picking apart people on the internet who be fat as fuck. So for me, I never really had a problem with his mukbangs or his videos.
Like Next question.
Coach, I'm having a couple friends over. What should we order?
Well, I'll go with mixed green salad, Caesar salad, tacos, mashed potatoes, cantaloupe, watermelon, some gummy bears, some gummy worms.
Well, the gang's all here. Let's hit the road.
It's the Disney Plus Blockbuster offer. That's right. $1.99 a month for 3 months of Disney Plus.
That's a great idea.
We're supporting Mr. Troy by watching these commercials. And plus, we might learn something, right?
And most epic events.
What happens next?
Oh, I got another. Alright, thank you for your third like. I really appreciate that.
The Disney Plus Blockbuster offer.
For me, it was
All our scarves are being donated to Hope for New York. And then they get donated again to families and people that need them. And shelters.
How can somebody be so grotesque and so disgusting and so this? And realistically, he was just trolling everybody. And now what? He lost all the weight, he went viral, and now everybody is all over him and obsessed with his image. It kind of reminds me of the Adele situation. When Adele lost weight,
Yeah, I remember that.
People start calling her skinny legend, and people
Skinny
to this day are
legend,
so
wow.
fascinated by her weight loss. When it's just like, she just lost the weight. You know, people always bring up how fat she used to be.
This is a nice green, right? It's
Anyone
different.
that's ever been fat or never been fat, let me say something.
I don't know, you can
You
tell
see
I
the
had a
world
hunter,
differently,
like
and you
another
live in two
kind of
different worlds. When you lose a whole bunch of weight, you start getting all kinds of attention, people are nice to you, and when you're fat, people are heartless towards you, awkward towards you, people stare at you, people make comments about your appearance by saying shit like, oh, hey, big girl, or what's good, big boy,
That's
like
this
shit
guy.
like that.
But you see the contrast
when
with
you're
this, I
big,
love
and then
colors,
all
because
that goes away
even a
when
slight
you lose
variation
all that
makes it
weight.
look
So
different.
when you lose weight, you have to reintroduce yourself to people, and sometimes you kind of get to weed out the people who loved you for who you were, and the people who only like you because they like mock you, funny you. You know what I mean? Like some people are probably irritated about the fact that he lost weight because now they have nothing negative to say because he literally just lost the weight. You know, there were times where I lost weight and I had relatives, fake friends that were just like, oh wow, Troyce, you lost the weight. Okay, wow. Or I had a cousin who literally looked at me one time when she saw me and she was like, oh, damn, Troyce, what happened to all your weight? Literally right in front of her friend. You know, weird, shady shit like that. You know, that's just what happens when you lose weight. You live in two worlds and you see the world for what it is. And how people act when you lose weight is how they really kind of feel about you internally. You know, if they liked you for you, if they just liked to make fun of you, you know, until they kept you around for that. But in the long run, I'll say this: when it comes down to mukbangs and mukbangers and eating videos, I don't think those videos are unhealthy or disgusting or disturbing. I think it just depends on how the person executes it. If you're literally getting on camera and you're wasting a shit ton of food, or you're literally gouging down like 20,000 calories, at that point, you're going to hell in a handbasket. At that point, that's when I think it becomes unhealthy. But if you're just making content, having fun, and eating your food, I don't see a problem with that at all. Avocado essentially won, whether he's lying or he's not. And that's just the way the internet works. With over 30 million views, this fat person who everybody thought was depressed, sad, and lonely is laughing all the way to the bank.
I wish my shadow could actually make scarves, right? I mean, I'll make 2 scarves for every month.
That's for this video. Please just like, comment, subscribe.
And that's wishful thinking.
Down below. Let me know what you guys thought about this.
What do you guys think about avocado?
Don't talk about this breakdown, and let me know if just like me.
I'm gonna go find something else for us to watch. You guys into spooky stuff? You guys want unsolved mysteries? What do you guys like? Comment below. Tell me. I'll pull it up. Oh my God, Mr. Troy is singing. He can't really sing all that well, but I applaud him for his bravery. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah. Oh no, you guys are leaving? Don't go. I'm gonna find another channel, something else to put on.
Sometimes it's hard to tell you so. You may not be in the mood to relay what you did. You know. There are times where you all deserve yourself from me.
Large capacity. It contains, I believe, 59 rounds. But I cannot predict what's sitting here today. All right, thank you, everyone. Morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York.
Alright.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
Yep. They said they arrested
The
him.
indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, but I cannot predict what's sitting here today. All right, thank you, everyone.
Can you guys hear it? Hold on.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video.
No more puffy combs, freak-offs.
Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. The indictment also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse,
But I'm sure not limited to.
kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to aid and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with
It's turning
conspiracy.
brown.
He used his business
That's what went
and
from
employees of that business and other close associates to get
this
his way.
role went from
Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business,
brown
personal
beige.
assistants,
See that brown
security
beige?
staff, and
Then
household
it went
staff.
and turned into this.
The
It's
indictment
like a hunter
alleges
green.
that those
Is that hunter
individuals
green?
facilitated the freak-offs.
Yeah,
They
it's
booked the
some
hotel
better around
rooms
to
and
it.
stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby
Kind of like
oil,
hunter green to me.
personal lubricant,
Then
extra
it goes
linens,
from
and
hunter
lighting.
green to straight to
When the
brown.
hotel rooms got damaged,
Nice.
they helped
Is
clean
that
it
too
up.
many colors for ya?
They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs,
Oh, my
and they
scarf gonna be
delivered large
unique.
quantities of
You're gonna
cash
be wearing it down the street
to
and
pay
you're
for the
like,
commercial
wow.
sex workers. The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier, a member of the hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet. And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee. As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s
how many rows do you
and a
see
large
here?
capacity drum magazine.
How
They
many
also
rows
seized
do you
evidence
get?
of the freak-offs, electronic devices
This is
that
as
contained images
simplified
and
as the
videos
colors go
of the
because as
freak-offs
you can see,
multiple victims.
I
And
incorporated
they
a
seized
lot of colors
cases
into
and
this one.
cases of the kinds of
Very
personal
pretty.
lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock
How does this
hotel
look
rooms
so
for the
okay?
freak-offs. More than 1,000 bottles altogether.
Oh, I see, that's a shadow.
Here
Oh,
are some of
cool.
the items that we
The shadow looks like
recovered during the
it's part
searches.
of it. It's not.
As you can see here, this is a
I
drum
think it's going to
magazine,
go from brown
large
to blue.
capacity.
Let's see.
It contains, I believe, 59 rounds. I mentioned as well, we recovered 3 AR-15s. This is a close-up shot of one of the AR-15s, and you can see right here, the serial number has been thoroughly defaced. Another picture of more ammunition and parts of 2 AR-15s right there. Now, I want to be clear about 2 things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
See that? I call it the wormhole.
Second,
Or wormhole look because it
this
starts looking
investigation
really
is ongoing,
sad.
and I encourage
See,
anyone with
it starts
information
looking
about
really
this
sad.
case
You
to
can
come
look
forward
almost
and to
right
do it
through it.
quickly. Anyone
You
with
do it just
information
like
can
this
call
right now.
1-877-4-HSI-10.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna go to
I
blue
want to
next.
express my deep appreciation for the victims
And then
and
back to
witnesses who
brown.
have used their
And then
voices
the
to
last
help
color
bring this
looks
criminal
like
conduct
it's
to
gonna
light.
be that
We would
hunter
not be
green.
here without them. I also want to thank the dedicated case agents on the HSI Trafficking in Person Squad in New York. They have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation. They will continue to be invaluable partners.
So we are at one,
I also want to thank the
1,
incredible agents
2,
and analysts at SCNY
3,
who have also provided
4,
tremendous assistance on this case.
5,
I'm
6,
deeply
and on
grateful
the
for their
7th.
continued work.
We're about finished with the 7th one,
Finally, I
and we
want to
have 2
thank
more rows
the
to go
outstanding career
to complete this
prosecutors from
one.
SCNY
I always
who are
make
handling
them
this case.
9 rows across
Meredith Foster, Emily Johnson,
and 5
Lucy
feet long.
Slavic, Madison Smeisler, and Missy Steiner, and their
Can I get a
supervisors,
thumbs up for
Jamie
that?
Dacluther and Jacqueline Kelly. They are members of the
Alright,
Civil Rights
Mr.
Unit in our criminal
Whoever
division.
left that comment, can you write
We
it in
created
if it's
Civil
from you?
Rights Unit when I
If it's
became
nice,
U.S.
thank you so
Attorney.
much. If it's not so
I am
nice,
deeply proud of
well,
their work on this and so many other
But
cases.
anyway, back to Mitten.
I'll now take some questions.
Eric Katursky, ABC.
Damien, thanks. The indictment describes aggressive, open, violent, hedonistic abuse that you say was recurrent and widely known. Why did it take law enforcement so long to intervene? How many women were victimized by Sean Combs and how many others were involved?
He thought he told you that he won't stop. He thought he told you that and he won't stop.
Justice and everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long. I think the better focus focus is on the fact that we are here today. And we are committed to making sure that justice is done. Next question.
Julie Ainsley, NBC.
Thank you for doing this. You said we are not done and that Combs did not do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
Janet Fisher, Newsday. What's the difference between the sex trafficking and promoting travel for the purpose of prostitution?
Well, there are different crimes with different elements, so I think we should get into the nitty-gritty of the legal discussion right now, but the sex trafficking, we believe, they're all serious offenses, but the sex trafficking conduct carries some significant penalties, and we are gratified that we're able to bring that charge.
It's always 3 high. You know, this is 3 high.
I'm not going to get into that, but you can look it up, and yes, sex trafficking, especially when it involves coercion.
3 high. So you always start off the next row with 4.
Serious crime, and it carries significant penalties.
4. 4. 4. 4.
Thank you for this press conference and for the details. 2 questions. In context of this indictment and the information that was presented to the grand jury, are you able to clarify the number of victims? It's mentioned plural in the indictment, but can you specify the number of victims just for this particular indictment? And secondly, can you provide details about the alleged arson?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide either.
Oh, how
the number of
nice. That was a
victims,
quick change,
you are
though. It
correct.
wasn't
We are intentional in
very
saying
transformative. It just went boop, boop.
the details of the arson incident are limited to what we have in the indictment, and also the detention letter that we filed, which contains more details than the indictment does at various points, but we don't have
I'm going to be giving crocheting lessons soon.
Lynn Tran, CNN.
So if you're interested and you're in the
Are
city,
any of his accomplices
you can
or
stop by.
associates under investigation? And additionally, could he face any more charges?
So the investigation is ongoing. That means both as to him and to anyone else who we believe committed the crime with him. Next question.
Julia Papa.
Hi, good morning from Tintin Wings. Any indication that some of the women or victims here were imprisoned in his residences, and did he have locations where he kept them, and they were not allowed to leave? And also, he's indicted here, although there were searches and raids in LA, Miami. Why in New York?
Well, I'm biased. I'm the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. I think that we have an outstanding track record of bringing some of the most impactful, sprawling, complex, difficult sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking, you name it. The Southern District of New York can do it, and so we're very proud of that. And so the scope and complexity of this investigation isn't something that we ran from. It's something that we embrace, and we will continue to do
Oh,
that.
thank you.
As to your question about whether he imprisoned anyone, all I can say is that, I mentioned this March 2016
It's very
incident where
colorful.
somebody was caught on video where a
That
victim was
much is
attempting
true.
to flee, and there was violence that was associated with it.
It even has peach in it. Look at it.
That was at a hotel.
Matthew Lee, New City Press. Thanks a lot. Does your office intend to seek remand, or are you reaching a bail package? And if you're willing, how would you contrast this with the R. Kelly case in HFNY in terms of the elements? Thanks.
So, we will be seeking detention. We have filed a letter
Alright,
laying
now
out
we're
our
going to
reasoning
continue.
for seeking
We're
pre-trial
dropped off.
detention. I'm not going to be able to
How
expand beyond what's in the letter, but it
nice.
contains
I
all of the
love
reasoning.
it.
It contains
Love it. I
the
love
law
it.
as
Love it.
well.
Listen, a lot of
There's a
people aren't
presumption of
crazy about
detention in a
brown,
case
but
like
maybe
this,
it's because
and
my
that's
school
warranted.
uniform was brown, but I love brown.
Chinese,
There's brown in trees.
Thank you. I was hoping to get some more detail
Brown
about the
leaves.
searches of his residence, the guns, the
Brown
cases
sheets.
of lubricant, and the videos. Where were they found amongst his residence? Were they all scattered around the houses in one place? I kind of wanted to just get a better picture of how that stuff was found.
Well,
But
look,
if I hold it
think
like
that
this for
some
you
of the
guys, so you can
details
see.
that you're seeking are in the detention letter. So, for instance, some of the AR-15s,
Is this how you hold
2
it?
of
Like
the
when
3
over
the
here?
face AR-15s
When,
were
especially
found
when
in
it
the
gets like if you're trying to make a
closet
quilt or
in
something
Miami,
really big.
broken down into parts along with magazines.
Roll 7, this is the beginning of 8.
Loaded in
Roll
those.
number
So,
8.
some of that detail is in the detention letter. Beyond that, I'm not
Oh,
going to be able to get
29
into
folks. You can
where
say
other
hi.
items were stored.
Ben Kochman, Post.
Hey, thanks for doing this. your office was the office that had been prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein before he died in custody. I have not read your detention memo yet. It's the first thing I'm going to do after this ends. But does the memo address, or is your office concerned with Combs' safety in custody, given what happened with Epstein?
Just make sure he doesn't go
We are
under the belt.
concerned with anyone's safety whenever they are detained prior to trial. It's part of our obligations to keep people safe as well.
How do you guys feel about that? Can you guys separate the man from the music?
I do not draw any sort of connection between Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and what
And
may
this
or may not
bird,
happen
both
to any
birds.
other defendant while they are detained pre-trial. And of course, the decision whether to detain the defendant will be up to a judge. Our position is that pretrial detention is warranted under the law based on the facts of this case, and I'll leave it at that.
Are some of the prosecutors on this case some of the same prosecutors that had been handling that, or that worked on the Maxwell case?
So, I'm not going to get into the staffing. I will say that this team, this group of
Thank you for the like. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. I know time is precious. So thank you. All my scars will get donated to Hope to New York, and then they in turn donate it to other families that need it.
Let me just say this. I think
And
that
families
generally, with increasing
that are
frequency,
located in
the word
shelters,
cooperative or cooperating
families
has
in
taken on
ministries.
tremendous elasticity.
I was told that
no
some of
longer
these go
bears any
to
relation what the word means
people that
when we use
recently
it,
chose
in a very
Christ or
specific
Jesus
context.
as the Lord and
So,
Savior
responding to lawful
as a
process
welcome to the family
and the like
of God.
does not qualify as cooperation.
You know, because we're all really knitted together, whether we want to admit it or not. We're all stitched in this together.
To that end, was there any discussion of Mr. Combs surrendering? I understand he was taken into custody at a hotel in Manhattan last night, and maybe that wasn't the plan. Can you elaborate on how that came about and why that was?
I'm not going to be able to get into any sort of operational details as to how he was taken into custody and when. He is in custody right now. He will be appearing in court later today.
Was there any discussion of him surrendering, given, they claim he's cooperating?
I'm not going to be able to get into law enforcement tactics or operations.
Can you see the purple? Now you can see it because it's the color of my dress. Huh.
Well, I can't get into the charging decision. It is
And
very
the other
meaningful
light
to
is
us
black.
that weapons were possessed. As we allege in the indictment, part of the reason why this conduct was so pervasive and harmful is because victims and others didn't necessarily feel comfortable denying him his wishes, as we allege, because of the presence of firearms.
I don't know, what do you guys think about this? Should I change it?
Last question, Jacob Jameson. Jacob Shamsian, Business Insider. Thank you. Given that he's the sole defendant in this case and that you allege he's part of a conspiracy that involves members of his companies, do you anticipate a superseding indictment that bring allegations against other members of his companies or other co-conspirators as well?
I can't take anything off the table. Anything is possible. Our investigation is very active and ongoing. And I think a lot of you who cover this office know that when we say such things, that developments.
I forgot. I'm going to turn off the food. I'll be right back.
Sitting here today. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy.
Thought that I just had to live with depression. I just had to live with mania. I just had to live with these illnesses, and there was nothing that I could do about it. I actually made him take my son back in 2020. I made him take my son because I knew I wasn't healthy. And I knew if I tried to parent my son unhealthy, he
Don't
was
you
going to
be
get taken away
scared.
into foster care.
Some viewers may find
Promise,
this
I'll be
disturbing.
back.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Schwartz and you're watching Schwartz TV. So for today's video, I really had to get on here and talk about Monica Leon. Now I'm pretty sure most of y'all probably know who this is, and if y'all don't, y'all are probably just like, who? Who the hell is that? It needs to be very clear that this woman was Krishan Rock before Krishan Rock was Krishan Rock. Now most of us know Krishan Rock for being a very infamous, successful, really popular and well-liked reality TV star. And before we had Krishan Rock acting irrational, and who clearly has the whole world watching her every move, we had Monica Leon, also known as Danger. Now, if y'all don't know who Danger is a 38-year-old businesswoman, really successful entrepreneur, and a well-known reality TV star, whom we all know from Ray J's reality show, For the Love of Ray J. The name Danger was given to her because she looks dangerous just from looking at her distinct face tattoo. Monica Leon attended San Jose University, but prior to that, she started modeling and getting into the acting industry when she was 10 years old because she's been strikingly gorgeous her entire life. She had these piercing green eyes, and she kind of resembles, you know, a Bratz doll a little bit. You know, she has a very strong face, beautiful features, and she used modeling and acting as a little girl as a creative outlet to pretty much balance herself out. Because Monica, also known as Danger, unfortunately was molested when she was a little girl. During an interview roughly around 15 years ago, she even went on to say that her appearance and her life has been cursed literally since the beginning because she was immediately raped and sexually abused as a child.
Paper. I've been raped and molested since I was an infant. My whole fucking life. That's real. That's some real shit. You know, all this shit, all this bullshit out here in the world, it stops right the fuck now. I have a daughter. I have a little girl that looks just like me when I was a baby. And nothing that is gonna happen to her.
Not even just Hollywood doing a number on her, she even admitted in the past to being a prostitute and using her good looks to her advantage, which has caused a lot of psychological toll on her throughout the years.
But I was a prostitute for about 2.5 years. And, you know, I was making a lot of money. I had all this cash, shopping, nails, spa, all this shit, you know?
All that.
Place, but it didn't make me happy.
So let's keep it 100. So were you with the low budget prostitute or were you like that high price $1,500 prostitute?
I tested it for free and gotten 10 grand for it. I just leave it at that. I learned the game, ran with that shit, and I was making dough.
Oh, that's a hell of a window.
Yeah, it's a hell of a window. But I don't want to glorify it, you know, because I'm getting messages on my Facebook from young girls, and I want to be just like you when I grow up. I don't want to glorify the game. I wasn't happy. I was lonely. You can't have any real relationships with anybody.
No, does nobody want that.
That's just, it's a lonely, sad.
Very lonely. Lonely up top when you're on whore. I mean, when you're promiscuous sometimes.
As fast as I can, and not
We're all been there.
And that's
Older folks, I mean.
what I did. That's what I went through.
Now, I'm only making this video because I am concerned about her mental health. Because if y'all didn't know, she currently has a YouTube channel and she's been blasting her husband, blasting her whole family, and blasting people for not being there for her.
So I'm actually going to start talking to you because this will be a teachable moment for
Yeah,
other
she probably
victims.
thought there was going to be a
So
lot more people behind her, but she realized now she got all that money, boob jobs, all this other stuff, but she's not happy.
I'm on my way.
I might be wrong with the
to
boob job
get
thing.
food
Don't quote me on
because
that.
I have no food in my house because
She looks like she's going through a lot.
my job, and he took $6,000 out of our joint account, which included my maid, right? So, yeah, he did that before he took off to North Carolina. So I'm gonna go get food right now for free because my food stamps can't kick in because I made $130,000 last year and $12,000 last month.
She's also been going on really weird rants on her YouTube
$12,000
channel
a month,
discussing
and
her
she's
mixed heritage and how she
depressed.
feels like
What
her
would you do
black
with
side plays a
$12,000
role
a
on why
month?
her life is in shambles.
I
Comment
had
below.
just married a nice white boy from my neighborhood growing up,
Oh my
or
God.
from my church, and lived in the suburbs and finished college. Yeah, I'd probably be a doctor or a lawyer, and I probably would have had a totally normal, wonderful life. I wouldn't have been in the hospitals. I wouldn't have been in the jails or the prisons. I wouldn't have gotten attacked, and 100% of the people who attacked me were black. 100% of them were black. 100% of the people that I've had to fight were black. 100% of the people that watch that show that are already, with just being on social media again, are saying fucked up shit. And you know, what's interesting about this whole thing, right, is had I not been so empathetic to the black situation, and had I not really just known about the history and read so many books in college. I read Elaine Brown's book. She's a Black Panther. My black family members treated me the worst, not the other races. And black people in my schools and in the community treated me the worst, and still do. I hate you. I do. I hate you. And why would I not? Why would I not hate you? Look what you've done to me. Look how you've ruined my fucking life. You can't blame slip. I knew I was underwater. I just didn't realize I was this underwater. If you're stressed about your paper, just get Grammarly. It's free. You don't need better grammar. I need an A on this essay. Grammarly can help with that. Just highlight your topic and it'll make an Avery. That was a long fucking time ago, sweet pea. You cannot blame the police. You're animals. If you weren't fucking animals, you wouldn't be getting murdered like animals.
Danger got on the reality TV show For the Love of Ray J, which premiered on February of 2009. As we all know, For the Love of Ray J was a very popular reality TV show that only ran for about 2 seasons, but millions of people were tuned in because they wanted to see Brandon's brother and Ray J find the love of his life. Ray J wanted somebody to build his entire empire with him. Of course, before he met Princess, he wanted to find a woman that was going to be his rock and, of course, help him carry his entire legacy. And that's how we were all introduced to Monica Leon, also known as Danger. She got the stage name Danger from Ray J because Ray J felt as though that even though she was beautiful, there was something completely off about her, which he felt was very dangerous.
And Ray J got a big
I mean, from the start, I knew she was a little bit different. When we woke up in the
I
morning,
didn't see the video though. I was told.
So he named her Danger. And of course, she was a huge hit for the viewers, and she was a huge hit for the entire production crew because she caught a lot of people's attention. And it wasn't just the fact that she was an entertaining character and she was a little bit off the hinges, but it was the fact that she's strikingly beautiful. You know, it wasn't just the fact that she was beautiful, but it was also the fact that she had this very distinct tiger tattoo on the side of her face. Viewers couldn't for the life of them understand why somebody as beautiful as her would put a tiger on their face. Nobody had really seen anything like that before, and nobody has ever really seen a reality TV star with a face tattoo before. Now, many people don't know this, but her face tat is actually a trauma response. Now, she did an interview a few years ago with Storm Monroe, the popular blogger on YouTube, and in her interview, he asked her about her face tattoo and what would inspire her to put that on her beautiful face. And this was her response.
I actually did because the people are gonna want to know what inspired the tattoo.
This is funny actually. Do you want like the PG version or like the real version?
Give me the real version. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make myself uglier.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I thought I would have more of a normal life if people were A, afraid of me, or B, just thought me as to be unattractive, like less attractive.
It doesn't work.
Oh.
That doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
She could just ask me.
I wasn't expecting that at all. Okay.
While she was on the show, unfortunately, most of the cast members did pick on her and bully her, specifically because she is a little bit crazy, and also she was strikingly beautiful. So people found a reason to pick at her, especially because the cameras were obsessed with her, especially Ray J. Unfortunately, she was eliminated and removed off the show because she didn't really seem like she was mentally stable to be around a whole bunch of women, because she did make it clear that she had thought about killing one of the girls, which was insane.
I know me and Ray are still gonna see each other after I leave. Ray and I love each other. Whoever he picks at the end of this thing, he's gonna still be with me.
And to be honest, that led to her departure on the show fairly early, and she ended up not winning the show. She got a ridiculous amount of attention, and a lot of people in the industry wanted a piece of her. She started documenting a lot of her journey and her photo shoots on her YouTube channel that she created back in the late 2010s. And of course, once 2010 came, this girl was on top of the world. She had a ridiculous amount of engagement on MySpace, tons of people were adding her on Facebook, and she was just everywhere. You saw her on TV shows like 106 & Park, acting the fool. However, a lot of the fame and publicity did come with a lot of negative attention. Because when she started blowing up, her nude photos started to leak on the internet. Immediately after filming the show, she immediately got pregnant, and she even took to her Twitter page to announce to everybody that she was pregnant. However, she was met with a lot of scrutiny, and she was also met with a lot of publicity because she went on to say that she was pregnant by Ray J. Her going on social media claiming that she was pregnant and then posting pictures of Ray J at her baby shower had a lot of people in an uproar because it had people thinking that Ray J had his first child, which is odd because again, this was all during Ray J's Kim Kardashian era, so people also was just all over her, which is obsessed with what she was up to. On top of that, they even used the producers to be exact, her pregnancy as an opportunity to bring her back for season 2 to stir controversy for a lot of viewers and bring in ratings.
Barely stand on its own.
That me and I are having a baby.
What the hell did she just say?
No, okay. But I care a lot about him and we're really close.
Now, if
If I
y'all
get
know me
another
and
life
Deja,
though,
we've been through some ups and downs over this past year, but after all that, we became real cool. Like, this my homegirl, like, she my family now.
However, Ray J, of course, was not the father of her child, and we ended up finding out that she was dating and had a child with Gabriel Cannon, Nick Cannon's younger brother, which I was 8 years old when I found out Nick Cannon even had a brother.
We back to go hang out and be with my boo on Friday.
Your boo on one day, do we know your boo? Is this somebody?
Shout out to Gabriel Cannon.
Hey, you shouting out boos up there.
Deja eventually gave birth in the year 2010 to her daughter, Mayada. And of course, people thought that was going to be the stepping stone of her eventually changing her ways and calming down a little bit. But of course, just like Krishan Rock, a baby did not really make her change. In fact, a baby actually made her much worse.
Damn, man.
I have no custody problems with my daughter. I'm a very good mother, and everybody knows it.
Okay, but
Father and me, we don't have any problems. We have a clear understanding.
okay, so you cleared all that. Cause
All that discussion is crystal clear right now.
no more kidnapping, baby kidnapping, and you're going crazy, and you know
No more locking me up in a position to silence me. No more any of that. All that is done. That's in the past.
They really like you. People could lock you up in an institution, though. It's like if I thought.
You have no rights anymore. Martial law, baby. You don't have any fucking rights.
In February of 2010, it was reported by TMZ that Danger went out of her way to allegedly set fire to her Hollywood apartment in Los Angeles. This was very disturbing news because, again, this was right after she had her child. Eventually after that, rumors started circulating that she, of course, lost custody of her daughter that she literally just had. As the story started to unfold and arson investigators started to realize that she might have caused a fire, she was placed under a 72-hour watch and thrown into a psych ward, which then birthed her viral mugshot.
Still having problems, like, maintaining, like, just to keep your child, or are they still?
Well, I'm just, I'm collecting my money right now. I'm sitting here with my daughter by the pool, and right now everybody owes me a lot of money, so I'm collecting.
Get out of here, for real?
Yeah.
What? Get us informed of what's going on?
Wendy Williams ain't got shit on what the fuck I know.
And there was a lot of negative press about her because this girl could not stay out of the media. On top of going on these crazy-ass rants about what she feels like she's owed from PH1 and Ray J, she then started to do really weird things where she would do interviews and she would discuss how Ray J is secretly gay behind the scenes and Young Buck G Unit is his secret gay lover.
Well, I'm from San Francisco, California, okay? I go to the gay pride parade every year. I'm down with gay, homosexual, transgender, transvestite, whatever the fuck makes you happy, I'm down with that.
He's open-minded sexually? Is that what he's very...
Well, I just say this, Ray, I love you, I respect you, but after the 2 years of Danger Smash the Homies t-shirts, what I had to go through for a season, me being pregnant by Gabriel, and, you claiming it was yours everywhere on earth, fucking up my relationship with Gabriel, because he's like, no, I got you pregnant. And to not respect the fact that you are selling me everywhere.
Right.
Look, listen, nigga. I'm not a pimped hoe.
Right.
You're not gonna pimp me.
Right.
I'm not Kim Kardashian. I'm not Maya Campbell, nigga. I am Monica Leon, aka Danger. Made you fucking relevant again. You're gonna respect me.
Exactly.
Or, you know, you won't. And it's been 2 years. I gave him 2 years to really just respect me. Alright, well, Ray J's lover of years is Young Buck.
Exclusive.
I'm really mad too because it's like Young Buck and Ray J.
Young Buck is a fresh face. He is that young.
You know, going strong, fucking with each other for years, and Young Buck does not have 1% of what Ray J has, and it's like, Ray J, you're not looking out for your boy?
On top of looking horrible, she eventually parted ways with her boyfriend at the time, Gabriel Cannon, and of course he pretty much took majority custody of their child. Now, the reason why the rumors started circulating of her losing custody of her child started to go around is because she went on social media saying that Gabriel Cannon literally kidnapped their child. And due to that rant, that made a lot of headlines, and a lot of media outlets and people who interviewed her will constantly ask her about her child and if she even lost custody. She even went on a crazy rant on the radio, basically saying that she cannot stand the Cannon family and that they ain't shit.
Your situation with with Nick Cannon, there's rumors about that. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, they might be my niece's family, but they're not my fucking family.
Wow.
Them. Fuck them. Seriously, that's some real shit. Fuck them. I don't want to see their face right now. I don't want to see them in shape.
Yeah.
It would be bad. It would be real fucking bad.
But it's serious when it comes to your kids.
And I've never even sat down and talked to either one of them.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
No.
You've never
I've
been.
never sat down and talked to either one of them.
You've never been face to face with Mariah.
I've been face to face.
Yeah.
But have I had a conversation? No.
Wow. And then
Did they shake my hand and say hello? You're dating my little brother? Nice to meet you? No.
wow. That's very weird that you're the mother of the,
So I wasn't even invited to Thanksgiving dinner at their fucking mansion in Bel Air. And I just got off a plane going to see my kid. And I didn't know what the fuck she was. And I didn't even want to be in a mansion. I've been in palaces before. You know who the fuck this? You don't know who the fuck I am. I come from money. Like, you don't know who the fuck I am, really. You think you do. I was just pretending. How about you, everybody just sit down, watch Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, and then get on my level and know who the fuck I am.
wow.
That's one of the reasons why my postpartum depression got so bad.
Damn.
I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just stop eating, and they can just have her and raise her. That's how bad I felt.
Oh, you lost weight and everything?
I lost a shitload of weight. I'm like 120 now.
And unfortunately, she couldn't really be in her daughter Mayara's life as much as she wished she could have because she was mentally unstable. On top of that, she was of course constantly in the media for a lot of negative things. On top of that, there would be instances where just like Krishan and many people who are also on a lot of drugs, it was pretty obvious that this girl was not stable because while she would be doing interviews, she would have random moments where she would act ditzy and weird and awkward, and she wouldn't really answer the question all the way.
No, you're still danger. I know who the hell you are. You still danger. So you gotta be like to say to your fans and bring up, because I ain't lying. I be for real. And I'm telling you, like, I was trying to be cool because you was up on stage and you were gonna go. And everybody thought that was like an act we playing. But I'm thinking like you really, really got some screws. Like, everything's good. And I was all excited and beautiful. You were like, are you serious? I'm very sober right now. Drinking water. Yeah, you act like that and you're sober. Yeah. Then that's why you should get therapy. How about celebrity rehab? Would you do celebrity rehab? I own a rehab. You're older than rehab.
It was really unfortunate unfortunate because this girl seemed so ambitious. She was doing so much acting. She was doing a lot of short films, and she was even doing a lot of modeling campaigns. So it was really insane to see her spiral out of control like
Build
this,
her up,
even though
breaking her
people
down.
already knew she
What do you
was
think?
low-key kind of insane anyway.
What do you think she
People thought
was
that her
already
career was gonna shoot to the top,
on
and
the
she was gonna
trashy
be just as
side?
big as a Kim Kardashian or
What
on
do
the
you think?
level as a Natalie Nunn or a Tiffany Pollard, because there's so many reality TV stars that don't get any shine at all, and she was getting so much media attention. But just from her antics alone, it was pretty obvious that she might have been abusing substances, or she was clearly battling some internal battle. She has never made it very clear what her mental illness is, but she has made it clear in many videos as of recently that she does have a mental illness and she is mentally disabled. She eventually did take a break off of social media, and she pretty much disappeared off the internet from 2012 all the way until the pandemic. Due to all the negative press that she ended up getting, she did end up changing her name to not Monica Leon anymore. She now goes by Laura. So people call her Laura, and of course she did get married back in 2018 to a software engineer in the Bay Area named Dean. And then she ended up having her second child in 2018. Now, Deja did come back to social media, but she came back to social media in a really weird and sad way. She was actually reported missing by a lot of her relatives and family members. Now, fortunately, she was found. But right before she was found, there was a very horrendous video on the internet that was posted of her, of a lot of people spotting her in the middle of Bay Area traffic, holding up people in their cars because she wanted to stop her car, stand on top of it, and dance like a maniac.
Get your big ass off the street!
That was a video of her that went viral and was posted all over the internet, and many people were concerned about her mental health. She even did an interview with the YouTuber Storm Monroe, and she pretty much made it clear that she was doing pretty well. She didn't really have to work as much, and she had a man that pretty much took very good care of her.
Really enjoying my privacy. I just was, raising my daughter. I had a little daughter, right after the show, and I kind of just gave everything up to be her mom. So I was just focused on, providing for her and giving her, the best possible life. And then I got married, and I had another baby, so now I have two children. I'm a stay-at-home mom now. I don't even work at all.
However, it's very abundantly clear that as of now, she is severely going through it. So, a couple months ago, she got on her YouTube channel and she started documenting how abusive her husband had been.
So I'm actually going to start documenting because this will be a teachable moment for other victims. So I'm not the only wife out there that has a debilitating disability that can't get out of her marriage. I'm on my way to the food bank to get food because I have no food in my house because my husband got me fired from my job and he took $6,000 out of our joint account, which included my rate. My husband's bank to my son. His bottom and his lower back was black and purple. My son is on the autism spectrum, so he doesn't understand if he does something wrong, as people with, kids with autism do, like hitting. He doesn't understand why he's getting hurt. So he used my son to hurt me, and he hurt my son to hurt me. So Dean left me. He wanted the divorce. He left. He moved out. And he left me with James. And I wouldn't have thought in a million years that he would have gone to the lengths that he went to hurt me by seriously hurting our son.
She even went on to tell a very graphic story about the instance where she basically tried to take her own life while she was walking her son with her husband.
We were walking for so long, and he was pushing Jace in the stroller, and we were walking for so long, and he's just like, just basically just talking shit the whole time about how worthless I am. And I tried to, I stepped off the curb, and I tried to stand in front of a bus so it would kill me. And he grabbed me by my neck, and he scratched me, and he threw me on the floor. And, I, was bleeding, and, like, had I not been being abused.
She even accused her husband of trying to kidnap her child and bring him all the way to North Carolina just so he could pretty much rescue his kid from her. She pretty much said that it was all nonsense and her husband was only doing these things just to psychologically mess with her and come at her.
Hi, my name is Laura Webb. A lot of you might know me as Monica Leon or Danger. I'm starting this GoFundMe today, and I really am a private person. I don't like to be talking about what's going on with me publicly. Like, I have never liked to do that. And because of my severe disability, I've been in an abusive marriage for 5 years and 3 months. My husband has been verbally abusive, psychologically abusive, emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, and most recently physically abusive. I have a 4-year-old child with him. His name is Chase. He's wonderful. He's on the spectrum, and regardless of the abuse that I've been enduring every day for the last 5 years and 3 months, I'm healthy. So please contribute to my GoFundMe. Every dollar counts. I'm hoping to go pick up my son tomorrow. I have been awarded full custody in a court here in California. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
All right, last row.
Why can't we be friends?
And this is where we're at.
Sometimes you don't speak
Now, I don't know if this woman's on drugs, or I don't know if this woman is telling the complete truth, but it does seem like her man might not have been good for her. Why run in front of a bus while you're with your child? And for the past couple of months, she's been posting videos back to back, documenting this entire journey, I guess for legal reasons, and of course to spread awareness. She even went as far as posting a whole GoFundMe online and posting a GoFundMe on her YouTube channel, making it clear that she needs people to donate money to her so she can hire a private investigator to get her son back. She made it clear that not only does she have no money, but she also ran through a lot of her funds and finances, and her ex-husband, who she's in the process of trying to divorce, won't let go of the grip that he has on her because now she's in a point where she's literally homeless and has nothing. So this girl has a bad memory, she's suicidal, and she's crying and having crazy ass rants on the internet, and she's homeless and going into shelters with her child. Now, I was meaning to make this video a long time ago when Danger first kind of started spiraling, but I never really got around to it because I wanted to see how a lot of this would unfold. As of now, Danger hasn't really posted any update regarding her child, her safety, and if she's in a shelter still. But a lot of people do speculate that she might not be being completely honest about her situation. So these are just perfect examples of self-sabotage, and it's clear that she's battling a lot of emotional turmoil. And she's just a broad example of what happens when you don't deal with your issues and you run away. Because let's be honest, a lot of us, or some of y'all probably know people out there that have ran away from their issues, and you see how they resurface. As you get older, as you get to your mid-20s or late 20s or even your 30s, No matter how
Sometimes
much you
50s.
try to run away from your issues, your mental health, it always resurfaces to the top. You may think that you've healed from a past trauma or a past abuse,
But ignoring
but if
it
you
is not
haven't
fixing
fully
it.
dealt with it and accepted it, it's still with you. It's just hiding somewhere, and it's going to come out at a very vulnerable moment, such as a breakup, an emotional outburst, emotional breakdown, or when you're angry and want to unleash everything. A lot of times you have to deal with your issues and face them head on because you end up like people like her who have fogged memories, blurred memories, don't remember stuff, don't know how to process their emotions, and try to act out these emotions using things such as self-harm, such as trying to off yourself, and nasty negative outbursts. So it's really, so when you see people like this, and when you see people like Maya Campbell, and when you see people like Lisa Turtle, and when you see people like DJ Daniels and Orlando Brown, and a lot of entertainers from way back then act irrational, do too much, and do these kind of substances, and, you know, get themselves in negative situations and act irrational on the internet.
Cold blood.
Go ahead. Work for them on the corner.
Sock me out. Sock
Look at this nigga dirty ass feet.
Yep.
This
Sock me
bum
out.
ass nigga. Trying to get this nigga some love. He want shit on you.
Yeah.
Now I know why he ain't got no family.
What?
Get the fuck away from here, nigga.
I got gun.
You better get away from my house when you get knocked the fuck out.
Knocked out for calling out. Bro, I'm sorry, bro.
Get away from my house, yo.
I'm away from your house. Hit me. I'm away. I'm off your property.
Come back over here, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out.
I'm off your property.
Wait over here for the police.
I'm off your property.
Don't come back to my
In
house.
Jesus' name.
It's pretty clear that a lot of these people are pretty much crying out for help. But of course, people like this have to want the help and they have to want to help themselves. But overall, let's all wish her the best and hope that she does decide to get the help. Because people like this gotta take accountability for their own actions. Because she just stood up here all day and blame her man for being toxic and abusive and controlling. But she also has to hold herself accountable to some degree as well. Because I haven't seen much accountability on her end. So let's all send healing energy towards Monica, also known as Danger, and hope that she actually gets the help that she needs, because it's very clear that she very much needs it. All I will say is this, is that when you see people like her, you see people like Maya Campbell, Orlando Brown, Lisa Turtle, and many more, this is unfortunately what I see for Krishan Rock. If Krishan Rock doesn't get her life together at the early stages of her early 20s, if she doesn't get her mind right and actually try to prioritize her child and her well-being, this is unfortunately going to be her life. But I would for this video, please just like, comment, subscribe, give your thoughts and please comment down below. Please just let me know what you guys thought about this whole breakdown, and yeah, that's that. Let me know what I should cover next. Choice out this bitch. You will always be set fire to the rain, watch it back.
Today, I'm going to tell you 2 wild medical mysteries. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, please invite the like button to your wedding, but give them the wrong date, time, and location. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story. Around 1 p.m. on August 6, 2011, a 32-year-old seafood vendor named Carla Flores stood in the entryway of her home, balancing a tray of shrimp in one hand and waving goodbye to her 3 kids with the other. She told her kids she'd be right back, and then she stepped out the front door onto the streets of Culiacan, which is a major city in northwestern Mexico. Carla was going to deliver this tray of shrimp to one of her regular customers. She walked down an alleyway and then onto a main road, and then eventually into a neighborhood with a whole bunch of brightly colored houses. She went up to one of them and knocked on the door. A man answered, and Carla handed him the tray of shrimp. He took the shrimp, gave her a handful of cash. She thanked him and turned and headed back down towards the street. And Carla had made it all the way back to the alleyway right near her house, when suddenly she heard this loud sound, and then before she could figure out what it was, this small, hard object smashed into her right cheek, and it hit her so hard she fell onto the pavement. And so instinctively, Carla reached up and she touched her cheek, and she felt a warm, wet liquid. She looked at her hand, and it was covered in blood. Carla tried to get up, but her ears were ringing, and she felt dizzy.
and suddenly everything went black. 20 minutes later, a receptionist at Culiacan General Hospital watched as a man carried a bloody, unconscious woman into the emergency room. He laid her down on a bench in the waiting area, and then he just turned around and began walking back out again. The receptionist jumped up and chased after this guy, demanding to know what was going on with this woman. Who is she? What happened to her? What are you doing? But the guy just said, look, I was driving down the road and I saw this woman bloody in the streets, and so I brought her here. I promise you, that's all I know. And then he turned and kept on walking. The receptionist went back inside to check on the woman. The receptionist looked down at the woman. She was unconscious, her mouth was hanging open, and the entire right side of her face was totally mangled. And then embedded in this mess on the right side of her cheek, basically in her head, was this weird dark-colored object, but she couldn't tell what it was, and she didn't have time to stand around trying to find out. So she called for help, and a couple of nurses came running out of the emergency room, and together they lifted this woman up, put her on a gurney, and wheeled her back to see a doctor. A few moments later, Dr. Gustavo Mesa walked into Carla's hospital room. He'd been briefed on her condition, but when he went inside, she was no longer unconscious. Now her eyes were wide open, and she looked totally confused. Dr. Mesa could tell Carla was having trouble breathing, and she couldn't close her mouth. But then, Carla began making this grunting sound. And at first, the doctor couldn't understand what she was saying, but then it became clear she was saying, rock, rock, rock. Dr. Mesa's first thought was, oh, she's telling me she was hit by a rock. That's what's caused her injury. And so Dr. Mesa leaned in and looked at her wound, and he caught a glimpse of what looked like a dark-colored stone buried inside of her cheek. Dr. Mesa thought, wow, she must have been hit so hard by this rock, this stone, for it to get buried that far inside of her face. He promised Carla he would get it out, but first he told her she would have to undergo an x-ray to really figure out where it was in her skull and how exactly they'd be able to get it out. A few minutes later, Dr. Mesa stood in the radiology department looking over Carla's x-ray images, and it was immediately clear to him and all the other medical staff that what was in Carla's cheek was not a rock, because the object was shaped like an oval, it had round edges, and it was perfectly symmetrical. To Dr. Mesa, it just seemed far too uniform to be a rock, but he didn't have a better guess for what it was. All he could tell from the x-ray was this object had broken Carla's upper and lower jaw and shattered several of her teeth, and now this object was stuck between her broken jawbones. Dr. Mesa knew it was going to take surgery to get this thing out, but he needed more information before he felt confident operating. So he ordered a CAT scan of Carla's head to give him a more detailed picture of this object. And when the results came in and Dr. Mesa looked at the image, his face went pale. He couldn't believe what he was looking at, but the proof was right there in front of him, and he knew he would have to do something and fast. So Dr. Mesa ran to the nearest nurse's station and told the nurse to evacuate everybody from the emergency room. Then he grabbed the hospital phone and he dialed a military official.
What if God made you this way? What way? A sinner.
FX's American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez. All new Tuesdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop from major retailers like Amazon and Target. You can drop prices automatically. I can show you.
Less than an hour later, Carla was no longer in the hospital. She was now out in the middle of a grassy field, laying on her back, absolutely terrified. An anesthesiologist walked up to her and injected a local anesthetic into her cheek. And suddenly, the agonizing pain that Carla had felt ever since waking up in the hospital was now gone. But her absolute terror was not. Carla knew there were 2 doctors and a nurse standing by to perform an operation on her, but also there were 2 Army soldiers just a few feet away from her, staring at her. Carla saw a doctor start to bring a scalpel toward her face, and she had to close her eyes to keep from flinching. She heard the soldiers giving directions and the clinking of surgical instruments. And all the while, Carla kept her eyes shut tight and just tried to pretend none of this was even happening. And after what felt like a lifetime, Carla felt a shift inside of her face, and it was the doctors and nurses pulling this object out of her cheek. Carla opened her eyes, and right above her head, she saw the doctor holding the bloody thing they had just removed from her face. It was a live grenade. That's why she was being operated on, not in the hospital, but out in this open field. Because if it did go off mid-operation, it would at least limit casualties. And that's also why the military was called in to tell the medical staff how to handle this live piece of ordnance in the middle of the operation. After the grenade was safely removed from Carla's face, it was disposed of by the Army soldiers. It's believed that the grenade that hit Carla was fired out of a grenade launcher. That would explain the loud sound she heard in the alleyway before it hit her in the face. Luckily though, the grenade's fuse that should have ignited and caused it to explode didn't work. So even though it absolutely was a live grenade, it didn't explode, and so it didn't kill her. It's unknown who shot the grenade, why they shot it, or whether Carla was the intended target, or simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. Carla would ultimately lose half her teeth, she would undergo multiple reconstructive surgeries, and she would be left with a huge scar on her right cheek. But she said she was just happy to be alive, and she was forever grateful to the stranger who brought her to the hospital, and to the medical team, and the Army soldiers who risked their lives to save her. If you don't know this, late last year we launched a brand new, strange, dark, and mysterious show called Mr. Ballin's Medical Mysteries. And so far, people love it. It is a free weekly show where each week we explore a new, baffling mystery originating from the one place we all can't escape, our own bodies. Topics discussed on the show range from obscure diseases and freak occurrences to trees. It's a neat burlesque. Me too. A mother rushed to the reception desk at the Royal London Hospital in England, cradling her 6-week-old baby girl named Claire. Claire was her first and only child, and like a lot of first-time parents, the mother was very paranoid about her daughter's health. And so anytime there was a change in her behavior or her appearance changed, it was like this mom rushed to the doctor. And that morning, the mother had noticed something very unusual on her daughter's head. There were 2 raised white lines that made the shape of a plus sign. There was one line that ran from the nape of her neck all the way in back, all the way up her head to her forehead, and the other line was horizontal, and it went from behind one ear all the way to the other ear. Now, this mother had no idea what these lines were, what they meant, what caused them, and so as soon as she saw them, she scooped her kid up and she headed to the hospital. Now, in the past, every time this mother had brought Claire to the hospital, the visit always ended with, "Your child is just fine." But this time, when the receptionist saw Claire's head and saw those lines, she immediately said, "Those do not look normal." And so she handed the mother some paperwork and told her they would get Claire to a neurologist as soon as they could. 15 minutes later, the mother stood in an exam room and watched as the hospital's pediatric neurologist, Dr. Farhad Afshar, examined Claire's head. And after a moment, Dr. Afshar stepped back and he explained to the mother that these raised lines on her daughter's head were something known as bulging fontanelles. So when a baby is born, the bones of their skull are not actually fused together yet. And the thin gaps between these separate skull bones are called fontanelles. And Dr. Afshar told Claire's mom that when a baby's fontanelles begin to bulge like this, it's usually because the child's brain is so swollen that it's beginning to push the skull bones apart. Dr. Afshar told Claire's mom that she had made the right decision to bring her daughter to the hospital. But he was clear that a lot of things can cause a baby's brain to swell and potentially cause these bulging fontanelles, and so in order to figure out what was going on, they would need to order a CAT scan. Claire's mom felt uneasy, but she said okay, and so they did the CT scan, and then a few minutes later, Dr. Afshar came back into the room with the results. And with a grave expression on his face, he told Claire's mother that he had some terrible news. Her daughter had a brain tumor. Hearing this, Claire's mom felt like the entire world was crumbling all around her. She was terrified for her daughter, and she had a million questions. But before she could ask any of them, Dr. Afshar said, "There's something else." He said that normally brain tumors are made up of brain cells. But based on the CT scan, it looked like Claire's tumor inside of her brain was made partially of fat and partially of bone. Dr. Afshar said he had never seen anything like this and couldn't even begin to explain it. But the one thing he did know is that whatever this thing was, it had to come out of Claire. Leaving it inside of her head could at a minimum cause serious neurological damage, or at worst could even kill the child. So Dr. Afshar told Claire's mom that she only had really one option. Claire needed brain surgery. Even though the operation was very risky for a child as young as Claire was, it was the only way they could figure out what this mass actually was, and it was the only way to get it out. Soon after their conversation, Dr. Afshar was standing in the operating room with Claire, sedated, laying face down on the table in front of him. Dr. Afshar made an incision across the back of Claire's head. Then he cut a rectangle into her skull, essentially creating a small door. He opened up that door to see the bottom of Claire's brain. He delicately moved the left and right hemispheres of Claire's brain slightly apart so he could reach the section where the tumor was. And that's when he got his first glimpse of this strange mass. He grabbed it with a pair of surgical tongs and gently tugged, and he was surprised at how easily it began to slide out. And slowly it came into the light. And when Dr. Afshar finally got a full look at what this thing was, he was so stunned he just froze, staring at this thing that seemed impossible. And so after setting this strange mass aside, Dr. Afshar closed her skull, stitched her head up, and then sent her to the pediatric ICU. Claire laid unconscious in a hospital bed with her mother by her side for weeks. Meanwhile, Dr. Afshar ordered a genetic test on the mass he had removed from Claire's brain. And it turned out Claire was not an only child like her mother thought. She was actually a twin. And the mass that Dr. Afshar had removed from Claire's brain was her twin sibling's fetus. Claire had an extremely rare condition called fetus in fetu. Fetus in fetu occurs in the very early stages of a twin pregnancy when cells don't divide properly and one fetus becomes enveloped by the other. The enveloping twin looks like a single baby, but they're actually born with their siblings' partially developed fetus still inside of their body. The fetus in Claire's head was 5.5 inches long. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, but its head hadn't formed yet. And Claire's case was extra rare because her twin's fetus was found inside of her skull. In all of global medical history, intracranial fetus in fetu had only ever been recorded 18 other times. And it was thought to be a fatal diagnosis because to this point, all the others who had it had died. But after 2 weeks in the ICU, Claire woke up. And a week after that, she was healthy enough to go back home. And by 18 months old, she had fully recovered and had no lingering neurological problems. As far as the medical literature suggests, Claire was the first person to ever survive having her own twin removed from her brain.
HFNY Video Enhancer is an AI video quality enhancer. You can easily convert low-resolution videos to high-resolution, 360p to 1080p, 4K, up to 8K. No noise, pixel blocks, and jackies. 4 incredible AI super-resolution models can enhance almost any kind of video. General denoise model can improve real details, reduce noise, enlarge video to 2 times, 4 times, even 8 times without quality loss. Face model can fix deeply blurred faces and restore facial details, like eyelashes and hair. Animation model can AI upscale anime, 2D and 3D cartoons. Increase video resolution. Colorize model accurately turns black and white videos into more vivid ones. Step 1. Choose file. Step 2. Select AI model. Step 3. Export video. As easy as 1, 2, 3. It supports up to 17 languages. No matter where you are from, you can always find your most familiar one. Auto enhancement, batch processing, preview without watermark, and other features bring you great joy. HFNY Video Enhancer makes 4K as easy as saying.
So, this will be a script for another scarf. It'll be like a little extra piece for another scarf. Everything gets used. I don't waste nothing. Ta-da! Alright, then. Take it off, slide it off, and pinch it. punch it. You grab straight, whatever's left. And just start bringing it around slowly. Snuggler, 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 snuggler. Snug, 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 snug. And if you do it right, it'll look like a bow tie or the beginning of a pom-pom. Exhale. Just to the side.
In July of 1848, a 25-year-old man named Phineas Gage got a job in construction on the Hudson River Railroad in New York. At this time in America, railroads were being laid all over the country, and so lots of workers Phineas were needed to blast rock out of the way to lay down these railroad tracks. And as it happened, Phineas was an expert in explosives. He had learned how to set controlled blasts growing up on his family's farm in New Hampshire, and then later in his life he had worked in a mine blasting through rock. And so in addition to just being the ideal railroad worker for this time in America, when Phineas actually started working in New York on this railroad, his co-workers immediately started looking up to him. Phineas was extremely smart and energetic. He was this incredible conversationalist. He was charismatic, funny, and a natural leader. And so, just 2 months into starting this new job, it was no surprise to anyone who knew Phineas or worked with Phineas that he was promoted to blasting foreman, which meant Phineas would lead the explosives team. Phineas was so excited about this promotion that he went to a blacksmith and had a custom tamping iron made. A tamping iron is a long metal rod that's used to pack explosives. When railroad workers wanted to blast through, let's say, a big rock, they would start by drilling a deep but skinny hole in the rock. Then they would pour blasting powder inside, then they'd put a fuse inside, and then using this tamping iron, they would push the blasting powder and the fuse deep into this hole inside of this rock or whatever it was they were blowing up. And then, once it was packed, they would ignite it. Usually, tamping irons were sort of rough tools that looked like crowbars, but Phineas really wanted something special to commemorate this promotion. And so Phineas had the blacksmith make this perfectly straight, smooth, 4-foot-long metal tamping iron, and on one end was a pointed side, and on the other was a blunted side. And this rod, it weighed about 13 pounds, and it was about 1.25 inches in diameter. And Phineas loved this tamping iron. He brought it with him not just to work, but basically anywhere he went. On September 3rd, 1848, so not long after Phineas's big promotion, Phineas and his explosives team were blasting through some rock that ran through a forest. And Phineas, he was right up front over the blasting site, helping them prep the explosive. His team had drilled that long, deep, skinny hole into the rock they were about to blow up, and that blasting powder was put inside, fuse was put inside, and then Phineas took his tamping iron and began packing the powder and fuse deep into the rock. And the way he did this is he used the blunt end of his tamping iron to pack the explosives, which meant the pointed end was sticking
I used to
out
knit
of
these on my way to and from work
because
I have anxiety issues
one of his men tripped or something, and so Phineas, with his hands kind of on his tamping iron, turned to the right to look and see what was going on. And when he did this, somehow his tamping iron that was inside of this skinny hole must have nudged against the inside of the rock, created a spark, and ignited the explosive inside of the rock, which meant the tamping iron was basically fired like a missile out of this hole into Phineas's head. It went its cheek up behind his left eye, up and out of his skull, and then shot 80 feet away, landing on the ground, covered in Phineas's blood and brains. This happened so quickly that for a second after this thing had blown through Phineas's head, Phineas just stood there upright with his eyes wide, and then suddenly a geyser of blood began shooting out of the top of his head, and then Phineas fell backwards on the ground. When Phineas's body hit the ground, he began having a seizure, at which point his co-workers, who were still kind of shaken up from this sudden blast, They rushed over and tried to kind of position him in a way that he wouldn't hurt himself, but I mean, they're looking at him and he's literally missing half of his head, he's covered in blood, and they're thinking that there's
Sorry, I'm so
nothing
shiny
to do
right
for
now,
him,
but
basically wait for him to die. And so all of Phineas's coworkers, who adored Phineas, just stood there very somber, watching their boss die. But eventually, Phineas stopped having a seizure, and then he opened his eyes, he looked up at his crew, and he sat up, and he said, "What happened?" Now remember, half of his head has been blown out by a 13-pound, 4-foot-long metal rod that has shot through his head. And his coworkers, when they heard how clearly he was speaking and how focused his eyes were, I mean, they couldn't believe it. How in the world is this guy alive, let alone having a coherent conversation with them? And so the coworkers told Phineas, "Please, lie down, we'll get you help, lie down, relax." But Phineas, who still had blood also shooting out of his head, just kind of stood up casually and walked over to the railroad cart and signaled for his crew to take it back into town. And so the crew are looking over at Phineas, who now is literally head to toe just red from blood, still bleeding, but less so, and he's just sitting on the railroad cart waiting for them. So they walk over to him and they start the slow 1-mile journey into town on this railroad cart. And the whole time they're all kind of looking at Phineas, expecting him to die any second. But instead, Phineas is just kind of looking around with half of his head, and at some point he pulled out his logbook and carefully wrote down what time they were leaving their work site to make sure his crew was accurately paid. And then finally they reached town, and Phineas was still very much alive and looking around, acting like nothing had happened to him. Co-workers helped him to his hotel, and Phineas just sat outside on a chair in front of his hotel, just people watching, while his crew went and got a doctor. A doctor soon arrived, and he too was completely shocked at Phineas's appearance, but even more so was Phineas's eyes. He looked at the doctor, and his eyes were totally focused, like he was all there, totally lucid, looking at the doctor, waiting for him to come over and help him out with his little injury. And when the doctor timidly approached Phineas, Phineas very famously said as he sat on his chair, "Doctor, here's business enough for you." Like everyone else, the doctor fully assumed that despite Phineas's miraculous recovery from this injury, that he would soon die from this horrific wound in his head. And so the doctor moved Phineas up into the hotel, put him in a bed, and then basically made him comfortable. Now, the doctor at this point was not trying to save Phineas. He felt like there was nothing he could do to save Phineas. At this point, it was like mercy. Let's make this as pain-free as possible for Phineas, as he inevitably dies from this injury. But Phineas didn't die. He would break out of it and basically be okay again. However, his personality at first, after he came out of this state of delirium, was not really the same. No longer was he this funny, smart, charming, confident leader. Instead, he was this guy who seemed to have lost all of his inhibitions and was kind of childlike. He swore all the time. He would tell people he had these crazy plans he was going to go do, but he would never follow through with them. And he would tell his nieces and nephews these wild stories about himself that were obviously made up and not even close to reality. But overall, he was okay, even though you could see his brain pulsing underneath his skin on the side of his head that had been blown off. And within a couple of years of this injury, those changes to Phineas's personality kind of faded, and he really did become old Phineas. However, there was one unique quirk to Phineas post-injury that never went away, and that was Phineas's kind of unhealthy love for the tamping iron that had blown through his head. After his injury, Phineas kind of stopped making friends, and any friends he did have, he really didn't try to keep those relationships up. He didn't get married, he didn't have kids. Instead, the tamping iron became sort of like his best friend. He took it everywhere with him, even posing at one point with the tamping iron the way you would expect a couple to pose for a photo. 12 years after his horrific injury, Phineas would develop seizures, likely from the injury, and then he would die with his beloved tamping rod right by his side. His case changed neuroscience forever by showing that an injury to the brain could affect specific personality traits. Today, Phineas's skull and his tamping rod are on display at Harvard Medical School.
What do you guys think? God is great. Look at this.
And now a clip from Mr. Ballen's Medical Mysteries. The winter streets of Boston were cold and gray as Zara hurried back towards her apartment. She was eager to get home and away from all these people she couldn't trust. But as she ran down the hallway of her apartment building and approached her unit, she froze.
You sound like a recording.
GoForms makes it easy to digitize documents or build new digital forms from scratch. GoForms is the only platform that can maintain the exact formatting of a document, so you don't have to retrain your staff or change processes. Digital forms can include all kinds of information, like images.
I'm Courtney Taylor, and I do OF for a living.
OnlyFans? You got like 1 million followers or something?
2 million.
We have new developments in the OnlyFans model Murder Kings.
Hello. Hi. You live here, I want you to stay right where you are, okay? What's happening?
What is it?
What's happening?
What?
What's happening?
Oh, nothing. They have uncovered text messages from Courtney Clay's parents discussing hacking the victim's laptop.
Did you throw a bottle of him or a glass at him?
Oh, yes. Yes. I won't be restricted.
We're restricted because, you know.
You look like the type of girl that only dates like rich guys. Is that true?
Let me clarify. I only date rich.
Okay, rich black guys. There we go.
Have you ever been in a toxic relationship? If you've had the displeasure of experiencing one, whether it's an ex-friend, an ex-lover, or an ex-boss, you know that there are very low lows, but there can also be some very high highs. This is Courtney Clenny and Christian Abumseli, a young, fit, stylish couple living a fast-paced life in Miami, and for them, there were a lot of high highs. Shopping sprees, sports cars, weekend trips to Aspen, and also a fair amount of drugs. When I said high highs, yeah, I meant that literally. Courtney Clenny, also known as Courtney Taylor on her Instagram, where she has over 2 million followers, had a reputation as a party girl, and she already had racked up 2 charges in her home state of Texas for DWIs at ages 18 and 25.
Hello. Hi. You live here, I want you to stay right where you are, okay? What's happening?
What is it?
What's happening?
What?
What's happening?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing? Do you know where you are right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, where are you?
Where am I?
Yes. Dear, where are you right now, dear?
What'd you say?
Where are you right now?
Where am I?
Yes.
Now, their lifestyle was mostly financed by Courtney's very successful OnlyFans account, while Christian was a former college football player at Abilene Christian University in Dallas, Texas, who had pivoted post-graduation to being an entrepreneur and was a self-described young black professional, which for Christian meant investing in crypto, among other things. Now, the Austin nightlife scene in the second half of 2020 is a phrase that should raise a few eyebrows, because if you remember, there was a little thing called the virus, remember that thing? Well, regardless, that's allegedly when and where Courtney and Christian first met, and according to a mutual friend, the pair became very close very quickly, which we'll talk about that red flag later. But from the outside, they were the picture-perfect Instagram couple, but in real life, friends noticed a disturbing dynamic between Courtney and Christian during group outings that often ended in screaming matches. Yeah.
Yes, and I am so sorry.
So shut up! Let me slap you! Give me my phone!
You have your phone.
I don't have it anymore.
Tumultuous doesn't even begin to describe their relationship. Like when Courtney showered Christian with lavish gifts thanks to her OnlyFans income, like buying him an all-new set of Louis Vuitton luggage, but only because she had tossed his old luggage off the apartment balcony. Yeah. Tumultuous. But somehow, in spite of all of this, in January 2022, the couple decided that it was time to take the next step. And Christian moved into One Paraíso, Courtney's luxury high-rise apartment on the Miami waterfront, which, by the way, cost $10,000 a month in rent. Like, holy little bits. And they had lived together for almost 4 months when a tragedy struck that would change the lives of the couple living in the apartment 2201 forever, as those high highs were all about to come crashing down to the lowest lows. But first, oh hi, hello, it's Swoop, and welcome to the dark waters of the cesspool, the place where everything and everyone is sus. Or is it us? Come on in, the water's fine. welcome back, Suspirians. I hope you're ready to get into the details of this case. Like, this story is absolutely wild and so shocking and got so much, like, deeper and darker than I ever anticipated when I was first looking into this. So just brace yourself for that. If you're new here, and there's a lot of new people here, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is my second channel. On my main channel, Swoop, I do full-length deep dives, and over here we take smaller dips into the dark waters of bizarre, twisted, sus stories while trying to figure out who or what belongs in the sus pool. So, my dear Suspirians, feel free to guess along with us in the comments about where this story might be headed, and if it's what the outcome you think is going to happen. You almost guarantee it's not going to be what you think, but as the story unfolds, let's find out together what is going on and why. And if you're into mind-bending, dark, or twisted tales, we get into spooky stories sometimes, subscribe to this channel, bring a towel, and go ahead and flirt with the like button. You can give her some flowers and tickle the bottoms of her feet so she gives you a giggle. She really likes that. Okay, we're gonna dive face first into this, but first, I have a quick question. How do you sleep at night? Yeah, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. No, seriously, how are you actually sleeping at night? I don't know about you, but for most of my life, I slept like trash. It took me forever to fall asleep. I would toss and turn all freaking night, and that mixed with chronic back and neck pain. Honey, you did not want to wake up next to me in the morning. But my sleep has honestly never been better since I've been sleeping with my Helix Sleep mattress for over 2 years now. So another huge thank you to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this video. They've been a huge supporter of our community, and I just love them so much. Their Labor Day sale is running now, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. You can get 25% off your purchase for a limited time, so check out the Helix site for more details. So Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and conveniently shipped right to your door. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique fiberglass-free mattresses, including their award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections, the Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. Every body is different, and Helix knows that, so they made a sleep quiz that matches your unique body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. And if you sleep with a partner, take the quiz together. You'll find the perfect match for both of you. Now, I personally am a back and side sleeper, and I feel better with a medium firmness mattress. And based on my results, Helix matched me with their dreamy Midnight Luxe mattress. And I upgraded it with the Glaciotex cooling cover, which keeps me cool and comfy all night long. It literally is a dream. My sleep has, without question, been the best it's ever been my entire life. Like, my sleep tracker literally says so, and most importantly, my body says so. Like, waking up less stiff in the morning is everything to me, and after 2 years, my mattress looks and feels just like it did on day one. Y'all, I love my Helix mattress so much that I literally got one for my mom, who also has chronic pain and fibromyalgia. Like, I would never get her something that I didn't fully believe in, and she is sleeping so much better, which makes me